Hello and good evening, and welcome to another episode of Andrea Speaks TV. I'm your host, Andrea, here to bring you news and commentary that you can use. So, today is Wednesday, July the 27th, and I hope that you and your family are all doing well. Listen, thank you so much for taking time out of your Wednesday evening or Wednesday night to tune in and get this news and information. You all know right here on the channel, I have many videos. And as I've stated many times before, you all know that I like to report on stories that are not always frontline news. And from time to time, as I share with you all, I like to look at world news so I can see what's happening in other parts of the world and ask questions like, could something like that happen here in the US? So, one of the world news sources that I do look at from time to time is Al Jazeera. And so I happened to come upon this article. I'm actually sharing it with you right here on the screen. Give me just a second, y'all. Let me see what. Hold on just a second. Let me click off of here. All right, just a minute, y'all. All right, make sure that you like this video, share this video, and be sure to subscribe to the channel. Okay, let me reshare my screen here. All right, I think that's much better. We don't want to look at teeth on the screen. There was an ad for, I guess it was dental implants. I'm not sure, but we are here this evening to talk about an article that I came upon on the news site Al Jazeera. And the title of the article, you can see it on the screen. The title of the article says Biden could unlock new powers by declaring a climate emergency. Now, this is the first time I've heard um, this spoken about. Now, you know, right here on the channel, for those who subscribe to the channel, support the channel. If you haven't subscribed, I would like you to, I would like to invite you to subscribe to the channel. That way you can stay informed, connected, updated whenever I do go live or upload new content each week. But right here on the channel, you all know I've talked about how many of the events that we're seeing in today's society, even around the world, many of these events all point to climate change, climate crisis, as one of the causes or the outcomes of some of the things that what we see, some of the things that we see going on, okay, according to some people. So I found this article to be very interesting. I want to share with you, and of course, get your thoughts in the comments. So I'm going to go ahead and get right into it. Again, the news source is Al Jazeera, and the title of the article that you can see right here on the screen says Biden could unlock new powers by declaring a climate emergency. So let me go ahead and get right into it. All right. So the caption says such a declaration would enable the U.S. president to halt crude oil exports and facilitate investments in clean energy tech. Okay. I want to know your thoughts and comments. Do you feel like this is a real solution? Do you think this is something that's needed? Do you think it's unnecessary? Please let me know your thoughts in the comments. All right. So, according to Al Jazeera, okay, the article says U.S. President Joe Biden is considering declaring a national climate emergency, which would allow him to unlock new executive powers to kickstart climate action. Okay. John Kerry, the special presidential climate envoy, told the New York Times last week that the debate within the United States administration was over, when the declaration should come and how it should be rolled out, rather than whether Biden should declare an emergency. Okay. Here's a quote by Kerry, here's a quote by Biden. He said, as president, I have a responsibility to act with urgency and resolve when our nation faces clear and present danger. That's a quote by Biden, who told reporters on July 20th. He also said, and that's what climate change is about. It is literally, not figuratively, a clear and present danger. Okay, the article goes on to say that while Biden labeled climate change and I quote, emergency, and vowed to use executive powers to combat the crisis, he stopped short of declaring a national emergency. He also announced $2.3 billion. Okay, no, I didn't say million. Listen to this, y'all. The article says he also announced $2.3 billion dollars in federal funds for infrastructure that can withstand heat waves, floods, and storms, okay? Along with $385 million to states for home air conditioning and community cooling centers. Okay, now I've seen some of the community cooling centers across the country. I've seen reports of those. A lot of places, especially where I am in the southeastern part of the United States, having experienced and still experiencing heat waves. Some parts of the country, I believe, I'm going to be reporting on this story, but I believe it's St. Louis, if I'm not mistaken, that recently is experiencing flooding and storms. So a lot of the natural disasters or weather events that were mentioned are some of the same ones that we're seeing today. Okay, would you agree or disagree? Now, his speech, the article says, followed news that Senator Joe Manchin, a Democrat who holds the power in the Senate to sink or float legislation, and who the article says has received more campaign donations from the oil, gas, and coal sectors than any other senator, would not support the Build Back Better Act. Okay, you all remember when that was in the news? Okay, and it says the Build Back Better Act is a major piece of legislation that would have made historic investments in renewable energy. All right, the article also says, as the largest cumulative emitter of greenhouse gases, the U.S. bears the greatest responsibility for the climate crisis. Do you all believe that to be true? Without support for legislative climate action, Biden's options are severely limited, but an emergency declaration is one way, the article says, he could make significant progress. So according to the article, or what I just read, it's basically saying that because the U.S., we are what the article refers to as the largest cumulative emitter of greenhouse gases. According to the article, it seems like the U.S. should lead the way in this climate change. And we know that there have been other measures, other maybe legislation, even the Green New Deal. Okay, we know that there have been plans put in place to facilitate some type of action towards climate change. Okay, all right. An energy justice program director at the Arizona-based Center for Biological Diversity first experienced the dramatic effects of climate change while working in Madagascar in 2007. Here's a quote by this person who says, we were hit by this relentless and freak set of 6 cyclones within 6 months. Okay. Let's see. That person is also, it says, one of the lead authors of a recent report that spells out how Biden can use emergency powers to mitigate the climate crisis. Now, something that I just thought about, you all know right here on the channel, I've reported, how there have been several different meetings of world leaders, business leaders, the powers that be, and they've been having meetings where they have talked about things such as climate change, food shortages, other concerns that are, happening now or what they expect to happen. And I'm just wondering, do you think that some of the world leaders may have mentioned to our president that, hey, because the United States, uses so much or emits so much green gas, then the United States should lead the charge in climate change? Do you think there may be some pressures from other nations, pressures towards the U.S. to lead the effort in the climate crisis? What do you all think about that? If anyone may have some insight or thoughts on that, please share it. Okay. Now, the article also says that declaring a climate emergency not only signals to international leaders that the U.S. is serious about meeting the movement, but also unlocks legal presidential powers that aren't otherwise available, she said. Okay. The article says by declaring a climate emergency, Biden can take 5 key executive actions. Okay. And here they are. I'm going to name them. Halting crude oil exports, suspending offshore oil and gas drilling, restricting international trade in fossil fuels, ordering the construction of renewable energy systems in climate vulnerable communities, and leveraging Defense Production Act or DPA funds to manufacture clean energy tech. Okay, those are the 5 things. Now, the article also goes on to say that a U.S. ban on crude oil exports that was overturned in 2015 led to, and I quote, an explosion of fracking, okay, that polluted drinking water and caused earthquakes in communities in Texas and New Mexico. And reinstating it could reduce emissions equivalent to the output of up to 42 coal plants. That's a quote by, let me make sure I say it correctly, okay? That is a quote by the Energy Justice Program Director at the Arizona-based Center for Biological Diversity. Okay. Let me continue reading. Please make sure that you like this video. Leave me some feedback in the comments. And again, I thank you so much for your support. All right. But the most exciting prospect, according to this director, would be Biden's ability to leverage DPA funds to manufacture products such as electric vehicles. Okay, he used the DPA last year to manufacture the jab to address the pandemic. And this past June, he invoked the act to boost production of solar panels. Okay, now I didn't know that. Did you all know that there was a boost in production of solar panels? I honestly did not know that, but I'm definitely going to research that, because here on the channel, I have talked about several times the need to look for alternate sources of energy, one of them being solar energy. And so the fact that he's wanting to boost production of solar panels, I'm wondering what that is really about. All right. The article also says an emergency declaration would go even further by waiving funding restrictions on individual projects and, I quote, lighting a fire under all of the agencies to get this done at the urgency and scale needed. Okay. Let's see. Okay. The article also goes on, just talking about different perspectives, different opinions. Let's see. Okay, there's one person, Mike O'Boyle, who is the director of electricity policy for the Energy Innovation think tank, realized, in late 2020 that the world had changed forever. Record-breaking and deadly California wildfires, the article says, cloaked the Bay Area in smoke that blocked out the sun and turned the sky an apocalyptic orange. Okay, he called the failure of the Build Back Better Acts, and I quote, a huge missed opportunity, particularly after he and other climate analysts worked long hours to make the case that the spending package could meet Biden's goal of a 50% greenhouse gas emissions reduction from 2005 levels by 2030. Now, again, y'all, I talk right here on the channel. I told you how in a lot of the articles, and when they start talking about years, it seems like I always see the year 2030 and 2050 mentioned. Okay, now why is that? Why is there such a focus on the year 2030? Why is there such a focus on the years 2030 as well as the years? Why is there such a focus on the years 2030 and 2050? Okay. All right. The article continues. I'm going to skip down. It says Biden started strong with executive orders halting oil leasing in Alaska's Arctic National Wildlife Refuge, canceling the Keystone XL pipeline, and committing $10 billion to a civilian climate corps to employ people to take care of their communities. But since then, progress has stalled. Okay. While Biden has supported offshore wind energy projects, he has also, the article says, announced new oil and gas leases, breaking a campaign promise, and backed the construction of pipelines opposed by environmental groups and indigenous communities. The recent Center for Biological Diversity report asserts that Biden's record on climate action is, and I quote, confused, breaks key campaign promises, and warrants clearer and more progressive leadership. All right, here's a quote that says he has every opportunity to recommit to his climate mandate that young people and the vast majority of people across this country elected him on. That was a quote to Al Jazeera, and the quote also says He can do that by activating emergency power and delivering executive action to tackle the climate crisis. Now, when I just read that comment, notice how I put emphasis on young people. Okay. I'm seeing and I'm reading reports that a lot of that Biden is allegedly losing the support of young voters. So I found it very surprising that they happen to mention the fact that he needs to, he has the opportunity, I quote, to recommit to his climate mandate that young people and the vast majority of people across this country elected him on. Okay, it seems like um this person who made this statement to Al Jazeera wanted it to be known that, hey, young people are paying attention as well. But you all let me know your thoughts on this topic. Again, this information does come from Al Jazeera, and it says that Biden could unlock new powers by declaring a climate emergency. Okay, whether you're watching now live or watching by replay, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Could a climate emergency be declared? You all let me know your thoughts. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Andrea Speaks TV. I'll be back with more news and commentary you can use. Thank you so much for your support.